The manufacturer MOVA is currently in the process of rolling out their products here in the Nordics, where I live. On April the 10th, they released a huge lineup featuring robot vacuums, hair dryers, coffee machines and several other smart devices, which I was lucky enough to check out at their launch event in Stockholm, which is in Sweden, and I live in Denmark. However, I've had the newest high-end robot vacuum, the MOVA V50 Ultra, on a test for just under a month now. So that's what we'll primarily be talking about in this video today. So grab a cup of coffee and let me tell you what you get out of this device. As of April 2025, the MOVA V50 Ultra is the robot vacuum with the strongest suction power on the market at 24,000 Pascal. So if you're simply looking for the most powerful model because you've got an incredibly thick carpet, this is the one for you. But don't worry, that's not all this vacuum has to offer. In fact, it's probably one of the most advanced robot vacuums available in terms of features, and definitely the most advanced I've ever had. Thankfully, it's still relatively easy to understand for regular consumers like you and me, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how it works. In the box, aside from the vacuum itself, you'll find a base station, several mop pads, cleaning solutions, vacuum bags and a bunch of extra accessories. The included double-sided guide tells you how to set everything up, which is nice. I was a bit confused at first because even though the mop pads have magnets under them, they wouldn't attach to the vacuum itself. But no worries, it's designed like that on purpose. It's because the vacuum automatically attaches and detaches the mop pads depending on the task it's assigned. And as soon as it starts for the first time, they'll click into place. So no worries. So don't be as concerned as I was at first. You also get two types of cleaning solution. The standard one goes in chamber A and the pet specific one goes in chamber B. The pet formula is stronger and designed for pet accidents, like, you know, that comes out of the butt. MOVA recommends using their own solution, which is fine in my opinion, because it actually doesn't use that much. Cleaning my 100 square meter space barely makes a dent in the cleaning solution, so you won't have to restock it that often, which is quite nice. Since it's a vacuum as well, it uses vacuum bags next to the cleaning solution compartment. If you open the lid at the top of the base station, you'll find a 4 liters clean water tank and a 3.5 liter water tank for dirty water, where all the filth ends up. In my opinion, the vacuum is a bit large compared to other models I've had, but that's likely because this isn't just a vacuum, it's also a mop, so the comparison isn't entirely fair. That being said, the size really isn't an issue. The vacuum has the same look as other MOVA devices, so if you do a quick Google search, you might stumble upon cheaper models and think, oh, this one is cheap. But be alert, they definitely don't have the same features. This model comes in both black and a white gold version, which is the one that I have. The white one blends nicely into the walls, so people rarely notice there's a robot vacuum sitting there at all. It just kinda disappears. At least no one has asked about the device when they came to our home. As mentioned, it automatically attaches and detaches the mop pads depending on the task. The mop pads are also washed with 80 degrees Celsius water. It also cleans the pads before finishing a job, ensuring everything is deposited in the dirty tank and preventing any lingering smells, which can be really annoying. Wet mops can easily start to stink, so this model also features a quick dry function that dries the pads in about an hour or so, which is super nice. One of the smartest features is also that it automatically adjusts suction power depending on the surface. For example, if it moves over a rock, it knows to increase suction. The V50 Ultra also features Flex Brush, Flex Reach and Flex Mop technology, meaning it can reach into corners on the doors, cabinets and beds. The brushes and mops extend wherever needed, so it's super nice and can easily get in under surfaces. It also has triple anti-tangle tech to prevent long hairs from wrapping around the brushes, which is something that was a huge issue with my old iRobot Roomba models. I haven't had the V50 Ultra long enough to say if this works long term, but so far it's been quite good. The app MOVA Home, which you'll need on your smartphone to use the vacuum, is super easy to use. It practically walks you through everything the first time, and after that you hardly need to think to get it to do whatever you want. The first time you run it, it will map your home and divide it into rooms, so you can easily choose where to clean. Even better, it understands voice commands, so you can tell it to clean a single room just like that. And here you'll find a list of the voice commands. Personally, I just love that it sends a message when it starts or finishes a cleaning to my smartphone. The vacuum also has a LiDAR sensor that detects light and makes it easier to judge distances. So if your previous vacuum constantly bumped into stuff, good news, the MOVA V50 Ultra doesn't. It glides along edges instead. A few exceptions exist, like when it tries to get under something, here it starts lowering the LiDAR tower into the body. Then it might bump into things like under beds or cabinets and stuff like that. But it really isn't that big a deal. But overall, it's just impressive how well it adapts. If it struggles in the dark, it just turns on its own light. If someone's in the way or working nearby, it navigates around them. No need to worry about being in its way. And yeah, I always have cables lying around everywhere, and it just avoids them. If I forget to pick up a charger cable, I'm not worried at all, because it'll just go around it or avoid it. One more thing to appreciate is that it's incredibly quiet, even while vacuuming. I think that's both because it adjusts suction power depending on the surface. Still, it does sometimes give me a little bit of a jump when it starts on the rug outside my door, because here it actually increases the suction power quite a lot. In my opinion, the MOVA V50 Ultra does have a few points you should consider before buying. One of them is for sure the price, with an MSRP of 1,399 euros. So it's definitely not cheap. But compared to iRobot, Roborock or Dream, another Xiaomi-owned company like MOVA, you'll quickly realize that you're getting a lot for your money here. Because it's got the strongest suction out of all on the market, outstanding intelligence, and just makes daily life feel extremely effortless. No worrying about socks or cables on the floor, which is amazing. The only thing that I'll kinda ding it for is that it returns to the dock quite often to empty its bin or clean its mop pads. In my 100 square meters place, it needs to dock 4 to 5 times per session, which is quite a lot. I can imagine that if you had even more square meters, more clutter and lots of high suction surfaces, battery life could also become a bit of an issue. Still, it'll just return, recharge what it needs, and continue later. So it's not a huge deal breaker in my opinion. As mentioned in the beginning, I attended the April 9th launch event in Stockholm, where I got to check out the entire lineup for the Nordic market. And I can say without a doubt, these are products you'll hear more about in the future, because some of the tech is seriously impressive. That being said, there's absolutely no doubt that the V50 Ultra is the star of the show. Pretty much anything the other robots could do, the V50 Ultra could do as well. The C50 Ultra is mainly a large robot mop. It also vacuums, but only has up to 19,000 Pascal suction and is limited in some other areas.
Jeg synes allerede, den derovre, den er stor. Det ligner som om den har sådan små mopper her.
Det der, det er en station, som faktisk, hvor du kan sige til den, når du skal vaske herude, så går du tilbage og får du den moppe på.
Det er ret smart.
The P50 Ultra is basically the same as the V50 Ultra, but with only 19,000 Pascal in suction. Otherwise, it's nearly identical from what I understood. They also had handheld vacuum mops, particularly the X4 Pro, which was the one that I found the most impressive. It has 45 minutes of battery life and only weighs 1.1 kilograms.
What is it that you're spraying on the carpet right now? Yeah, the red. Yeah.
It's because this floor is temperature sensitive, and we literally just released some hot water on it, so it turned red. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And has 100 degrees Celsius mop head washing, sprays cleaning solution, has strong suction, and can lay completely flat. You don't even need to lift it onto the dock.
Yeah.
So it's very smooth and it shuts down automatically.
It just rolls in. So super convenient. The other models were similar but with fewer features, especially the K30 Mix, which weighed about 4 kilograms and honestly felt like lifting a rock compared to the X4 Pro. But I should have probably just tried the X30 Mix first. There were also hair dryers, an air fryer, and I even tried coffee from their coffee machine. It wasn't the fastest, but it was very compact and easy to use, so I could definitely see myself getting one just for the form factor alone. I didn't get to check it out and test it in details, so I might be off on some factors. Keep that in mind. But now let's get back to the V50 Ultra. Because the P50 Ultra exists, I can definitely see it being hard for many people to choose the V50 Ultra instead of the P50. Especially since the P50 Ultra does almost everything the V50 does, just not quite as good. In my opinion, you'd need to have some very specific needs that only the V50 Ultra can solve before I'd actually give it a clear recommendation. But if you simply want a device that's excellent at both vacuuming and mopping, it's definitely a great choice. If you want to check it out for yourself, I'll leave a link to it down in the description. I hope this video helped just a little bit figuring out which robot vacuum model to go for the next time for you, or if it's your first purchase. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, I'd really appreciate it if you threw a thumbs up down in the description, and a subscription as well right down there would also be really appreciated. I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.